Welcome back to the Human Scavenger build, part 3. This is the character where we have no cybernetics, no mutations, no followers, no gimmicky stuff with vendors and so on and so forth. And we dropped all of our starting gear on the ground, never to use it again. In this episode, we're starting off at level 11. Here's a little look at our gear using the electro bow. The goal in this video is going to be to level up the rest of the way to just under 18. So we've got to do the next quest before 18, and the quest in question is Golgotha. So we want to be in between 15 and 17 or so, 15, 16. And so the way we're going to do that is to level up using Wayfaring as per the guide that I published a couple weeks back. Make sure to check that out if you want to hear me talking a little bit about it, but this is going to be full gameplay of me actually doing it. And, I think that you could level up using Wayfaring as a pacifist, essentially. It is by far the safest way to level up because the XP doesn't come from killing anything. It comes from exploring, comes from gathering books and giving them to the book vendor to level up. And so if you want the safest, lowest RNG variant of leveling up, this is it. So let's see what that gameplay looks like. I am doing this commentary post hoc. So I've already played this section of the game. I didn't catch commentary during the game itself. So I'll just be talking about what's going on as you watch the video. And I'm going back through it myself here. So we have a weapon in each hand. We have our force bracelet. We have wings. And we have a shield plus our electro bow. So that electro bow is a really good find early on to give us some ranged damage. It would give us light if we needed it, but we happened to find a floating glow sphere. If you don't find that floating glow sphere by chance, you can find it in the asphalt mines level 5 on a corpse there, guaranteed. So I would be getting that next if we needed it, but we don't need it. So the first thing we're going to do is go to this legendary glowfish lair, which we found earlier in the game while we were looking for the broken wings. And I liked the look of this lair because glowfish and fish in general are not hostile to us on this character. And so the goal is, or the thinking is, that we can get through most of it easily, safely. And we knew from our first dip in here that plated nullworm was going to be waiting for us there. So that's kind of what I'm expecting at this point our main enemies to be, are nullworms, plated nullworms, similar type stuff. There are some fish, even if you're friendly with fish, there are some fish creatures that are hostile to you, like the brown sludge eels or whatever they're called. They knock you prone is their kind of main attack, and they're always hostile. And if you kill one of those in the presence of fish that you're neutral to, then the whole layer is going to get upset. So in a layer like this, you've got to keep an eye on exactly who you're attacking. The fish don't care if you kill plated nullworms, but if you kill fish species, they get upset. So this is kind of also the first time, notably, that we're going underground, other than when we went to get the pickaxe. And there's a slug snout. There's that eel I was talking about. I'm just getting around the corner here so the slug snout can't get a shot on us. But what I was saying was that we spend most of our time on this kind of build above ground, exploring and finding ruins. So it is a choice, an optional choice, to go underground at all here. And the reason you'd want to do that is because layers offer two main things: reputation from unique enemies that you can kill or befriend, and experience for finding the layer itself, finding The uniques sometimes give experience, especially, or maybe only, I'm not exactly sure, but especially if they are vendors rather than, enemies or creatures in general. And so they're a good source of both those things, rep and experience. So if you want to dive these, go for it. Oftentimes the early ones are pretty easy. You can see here that I angered all the fish because I killed one of those eels. Obviously not a big deal because fish are not scary, generally speaking. So that's why we're here. If this was a super hard layer with, you know, occupied by dragons or something, then we're not going to do that, obviously, because why risk it? It's just not worth it. We've once again angered the fish. So now we've got to wade our way through enemies and in the water they swim in at the same time. Mostly using melee here. We don't have any skills with hammers or axes, which are the weapons we're wielding. And we don't have multi-weapon fighting either. But we're trying to save charge on that electro bow. We do have a solar cell battery, which is perfect for wayfaring. Oh, and here's our unique fish who breathes fire, apparently. Yeah, but wayfaring saves you, or wayfaring, you can stay on the surface, and so solar cells go way up in value in that sense because you can keep them charged all the time just by traveling. So that's why we're doing that. Just trying to stand around the corner here so the flame fish can't hit us to get all the bodies out of the way that are body blocking our shot. Then we're just going to pop around the corner and snipe. He's unique, but he is a fish, so he's pretty weak. Yeah, now we're negative 400 reputation. Make it 590 something. But those layers like that, even though it's only fish and maybe the rep wasn't particularly useful to us, they end up having chests and things like that. So we get a number of chests, a number of items. Nothing to write home about, but can be once in a while. Can be. In the previous character, the one I did the guide on, we happened to find items like the flamethrower just laying on tables. And so wherever you can generate random loot like that, you have a good chance at getting something nice. And layers are a place to count for that. So we found this legendary scribe earlier. Again, when we were just wayfaring at level like between 4 and 11. So in the last couple of videos. So I just like to pop back in and check the scribe periodically, looking for Schrodinger's pages, looking for advertisements to other merchants like this. So we pop our wings, we fly on the overworld always. Helps us prevent getting lost, speeds up our travel, reduces our resource consumption. We just have the basic bow and rifle skill to use with our bow. We'll never, no matter what, I don't ever put points in anything other than just the basic bow and rifle skill. We continue to get more and more wayfaring skills, always having the wayfaring skills for the areas we're traveling in. Because not only do we not want to get lost, but we want those interesting encounters like ruins and whatnot, layers. So always just keeping tabs on that, keeping up to date. This one looks like it has guaranteed, or becoming nooks rather, with cybernetics. They aren't guaranteed, in fact, but usually they have these cybernetics racks attached to them. Once in a while, you get bad luck, and the spawn point for those cybernetics racks should be where a wall generated instead, and so you don't get them. some reason I'm thinking here maybe I missed one of these or something, but I didn't. I had access to both of them from the beginning. But yeah, this is essentially the game plan now until we get to level 15 or 16. Hello. Just drop into a musket turret with some exploding pods and centipedes and stuff like that. So we get one turn whenever you drop into something like this. You get a turn before anything starts to attack you. I decided to go for it. You could retreat there. Just depends how strong you're feeling, really. Somehow I've angered this Arconaut over here who freeze grenades me. Thanks for that. We opt to just pass turns here. One of the few things you can do is Blaze Injector to get out of the freeze. I'm not going to be able to replace that because I'm frozen solid. Getting frozen like this is a pretty precarious situation. So best to be avoided. Obviously our baseline cold resist helps reduce the chance of getting frozen. We could also self-detonate or detonate on top of us this thermal grenade, which I'm considering right now. But we're at full health, and nothing I'm seeing is particularly scary. So we just wait. Now, unfortunately, here I'm worried about angering the flying units of this map by attacking the flying units of the old map. So I wanted to get my position right before I did that. I wouldn't be normally fighting in a position like this unless I had the force bracelet online. So if you're wondering about my tactics there, that's why we have both wings and force bracelet if we needed them to bail out of that situation. So relatively safe. Got a few good items there, revolvers and beaded bracelets and things like that off that guy. Chance to heal whenever you take damage. 8 to 18% chance to heal to full, 15% of the time. One of the best food buffs right there. So that was the jam and the bear meat gave us that recipe. Good one for the early game, recommend for most characters. You'll just be fighting and heal periodically. Kind of hard to die when you pair that with your defensive items. Just identify up these cybernetics. We're never going to use them, of course, but they're good vendor trash, that's for sure. So we'll just come back here and keep exploring this area. Have a bear fighting a glow pad up there. Pretty easy for us to take bears at this point with our bow. Just have to watch out for these exploding pods. In these confined spaces like this, it makes it hard to hit them from range and not get caught in the explosion. One of the more annoying enemy types in the early game to come across, I feel. And you know, if you find them on the surface level here, chances are you're going to find them as you go down floors as well. Underground, these explodey guys are even more scary, but they do damage to their friends and your enemies around them. So they can be useful in that sense. Looking at these engraved bows every chance we get, adding secrets. That one's probably not useful, but once in a while you get something, maybe a historic site or whatever. I think the cream of the crop in secret, in terms of secrets, are the Respeth secrets because every one that you turn in increases the return of XP that it gives you. So the more you get, the better it is in an exponential sense. Oh, great. Good timing. Well done. I don't even think these guys are worth experience, which is also kind of lame. At least we're getting a good number of books in this area. Really, if nothing else in these historic sites at this point, if we can find a bunch of books, we're happy. Uh, I don't think that's guaranteed that you find a good number of books, but what do we got here? High explosive grenade. But if you can pick up books, then at least you've got your consolation prize. And then maybe you get down to. Oh, this is awkward. Maybe I can use this to blow up the glow pads. Maybe you get down to the special chest where you get the guaranteed credit wedges and you find a nice historic item there as well. They're really hit and miss, but when they hit, boy, they can be strong. Give you, you know, effectively give you mutations on your items or just stat bonuses, or maybe the item is just really good. Oftentimes you get like vibro weapons, like just a random rifle with vibro effect on it is pretty good in the early game. It can help with late game too, but by late game, usually we've got something better, like a flamethrower or whatever, spacer pistol, stuff like that. Let's see, we're inspired here, so we'll pick something new that we haven't done before so we can get a new effect. That remove negative effects is an interesting one. We'll take it. Might be useful somewhere else in the future. You can never go wrong with the bonus 15% up to 15% HP. That's always good too. Really basic one with any of the jerkies that you can get. Start working on customs and folklore here. Heading for trash divining so we can get even more secrets, nice locations. I like to find things like tar fields and slime bogs or whatever they're called, which are really both good for loot. The flaming tar fields especially are excellent for good like tier 2, tier 3 tinkering technology. Hover boots and or what are they called? Anti-gravity boots and things like that. Really good stuff. Helping hands, I think, too, is more common in those locations. So secrets are very useful, often underrated in this game, I think. It's just always good to have more secrets. If you notice, kind of my strategy overall is um, secrets and knowledge and things like that rather than offense and combat related stuff, at least in the early game, which I think is unique about Caves of Cud, really. Like, obviously I play a lot of DCSS, and that's a all combat all the time type of game. Whereas this, most people go into it and it's a roguelike and they think this is a combat oriented game, obviously, because it's a roguelike, right? But you can basically play this as a pacifist using this strategy and just go deep into um, trash divining and tactful and go the reputation route, trade in books, go high ego to, work with vendors and get better deals in vendors. And you could just about go around this game on the surface only, looting, doing wayfaring, and all that sort of stuff, and almost never kill an enemy, which is pretty cool. At least for the first half of the game or better. I think that's really unique about Caves of Cud, and I just like that versatility. The other side of that coin, I guess, is that when that is a possibility, when the possibility exists for you to not have to fight anything and still level up, it's hard to argue that's not optimal. I think that the book strategy at the very least, but also throwing in the secrets strategy on top of that, uh, it's obviously safer. Not going into caves. I don't have to be going into this cave right now. I could just be on the surface still getting levels. And I think just on the face of it, it's both easier and safer. And so if you're looking to survive more often and have higher win rates, it's clearly the way to go. If you don't have to ever engage with enemies in combat, you're just going to be better off. Now you can always ask the question, is that fun? Is that the way to play or the way you want to play? And your answer may be no, but if you're trying to get your first win, and in particular, this is a good way to go about it. All right, on to the next floor. Just working our way through. Now we got rusted kudzus trying to rust our gear, which I hate. Rust is bad because if you've got a rusted item and it procs rust again, it'll turn into dust and be unrecoverable. And so that's one of the worst, like minor effects, I guess, minor item effects in the game, in my opinion. Our electro bow is getting low here. Got to take note of that because if we run out of battery, we'll run out of light as well. So far, pretty cruisy though on this historic site. Just a bunch of plants and fish, and the exploding pods are the only thing of any risk, with any risk to it, which is nice to see because, you know, it's almost free loot at the bottom. Of course, the whatever the unique boss of this area is could have some really nasty mutations or who knows what, right? But all of his friends are pretty weak, so that's kind of nice. Let's see, what can we pick from here? Yeah, the chance to heal on damage, oftentimes going to be your best perk, probably. MA can help if they've got mental mutations. Extra HP is always just a well rounded, safe choice, like I said before. And we've got that one with the dried law petals, which we end up going with. So if we ever drop to a low health, everything around us gets scared away, which is a nice defensive mechanism. Let's see what we got. More glow pads, more exploding pods, mysterious strangers and hermits to help us, arcanauts. Sometimes these guys carry good stuff. I once found a flamethrower on one of them. And you can trade with them or you can just kill them and take their gear. Just be careful doing the latter because sometimes they like travel in packs almost, and the other ones will get upset if you kill one of their buddies. And they usually almost always have ranged weapons of some kind, oftentimes laser pistols or whatever, grenades, a lot of times too. So here we have the unique boss. It is a Tumblepod, and it appears that he has summoned the space-time vortex. So that's extremely scary at this point in the game because we don't have a recoiler of any kind. So if we get teleported away, there's no coming back. So got to kill him quick. The space-time vortex was moving away. Where did he go? He blinked away or something, maybe? Tumbled away? I'm not sure. There's the chest down there. Where did he go? I'm not sure. A sword? What is this? Temporal fugue. Nice. Short blade. Yep. And cybernetics wedge, of course, for some money. Temporal fugue, though, is fantastic to find on a weapon like this. Where is that boss enemy? I don't see him anywhere. He must have. Did I kill him? It didn't say I killed him. Did he get sucked into a space time vortex, maybe? Unclear. Yeah, he's gone. Okay, well, moving on. We'll fly back to the overworld and get rid of that mark on my map now that that's done. And not going over there yet. Could do that one. It's on a river tile, though. River tiles have madpoles, which can decapitate you or rip your face off or arms or whatever. They're pretty scary. So we'll head back up to 6-day stilt for now. That Dromad merchant is Sheba. Nice little waypoint for us here. Ooh, Crystal Helm. 2,800. We're not getting that. See if we have any secrets. I don't think we picked up any now. Engraved. Oh, there's a secret. Nice. Respeth. Good find. Well worth checking. 500 and some XP. Not bad. See if anybody else has anything good. Always checking Nick or Merchant for the same reason. Nothing there. Kippers to see if they have any good food. I've already got one Bop Cheek, so I'm not seeing anything that stands out. One thing I want to get better at is knowing all the cooking recipes and how they can be useful and actually using them more often. I think that's one area I'm definitely lacking in because there are some really, really good ones. And I only know a handful of useful ones. But if you get good at cooking in this game, it is very, very strong. So I do highly recommend looking into that. And this is kind of a note for myself as well. I need to do that, get better at using it. I ought to do a challenge run maybe where it's like primarily cooking based effects. I don't know how to make that hard. Like no guns or something, and do cooking based effects where when you jump, it triggers stuff, or when you phase, it triggers stuff, or something like that. There's a historic site on those boots. That's nice. I don't know if you have any ideas and you're listening to this, how we could make a cooking based challenge actually difficult and fun. Let me know. I'm kind of interested in doing that to make myself better at cooking. I'll come up with something eventually, but yeah, if you got any ideas, let me know. Puma vest wouldn't be bad. No negative DV on that is a good pickup, but probably not going to spend the cash on it. Got multiple electro bows here. Go ahead and trade it for the ingots, which are excellent value to weight ratio items. Probably don't need wood bark anymore. I like to hold on to a few of them. They're 1 pound a piece, so you don't want to carry too many. And we'd rather use Sphinx Fault salt injectors instead at this point, especially as a true can, because you get more effect from the injectors. Not Sphinx Salt, I mean salve injectors, sorry. We've got 5 of them. Yeah, so I sold one Electro Bow, still got another one spare. Mm, takes a 2 scrap. Those are, I find the 2s are pretty rare. Like you can find enough of them, but I like to use them a lot too. They're on a lot of good items like recoilers. Take multiple 2s, other stuff like that I use often. Take 2s. So whenever you find 2 bits, I recommend keeping them. They come off of like basic chrome pistols, Ishikar rifles, other basic rifles, stuff like that. So I like to collect those throughout the game if I can, because I do end up using them if I go heavy into tinkering. 4s also are really useful. 4s are useful for spiral borers, flamethrowers. Uh, what like mods on your force bracelet use 4s, I think, to start off. 2 of them. So 4s and 2s I want to be collecting a lot of. I only use a couple of 3s by comparison. Trade in some books. We've got some 600s in there. A couple 100s though too. 7,000 XP though is pretty good. Up to level 13. We're inspired, so we'll go ahead and learn a new recipe here. Just every chance we get, because of course you have a chance when you go to a new map tile to get inspired again. So we might as well be uninspired while we're traveling around and exploring and just use that to its fullest advantage. We've already got that top one, don't we? Yeah, the bonus HP, bonus natural healing rate is a really good all rounder. When you don't know what you're going to get into, more HP helps. Trash Divining Online. I like to have Shake It Off at some point. Just a chance to get rid of stuns more often. I do also like to have Meditate and Fasting Way at some point. We're going to go with Shake It Off now. Just helps for when we do get into melee, which isn't all that often. I try not to as much as possible. But when you've got Shake It Off and you've got Kickback to knock them out of melee range again, you got your Force Bubble, you have Wings, you have Sprint, you have pretty good opportunity or optionality to get out of melee range. So Just remembering now we have this historic item. So we'll go ahead and repair that. It's going to give us temporal fugue. So we'll put that in our weapon hand there, our offhand, because we don't actually need to hit with it for any reason. We're not skilled in any of these melee skills, just using it for temporal fugue. And the nice thing there is temporal fugue will use our grenades for free. It will use our electro bow for free, force bracelet, and so on. So it's like a hologram bracelet, I guess, but just a bit better. All right, back to the overworld. Let's see, where to next? We do have heat resistance, a little bit. So we could go to asphalt mines, get oil, and floating glow sphere, which we don't need. Credit wedges. But we're going to head south, find another layer, keep wayfaring. These are good enough. They give experience as soon as you pop your head into them. So you can then decide if you want to investigate or not. We're good with birds. A lot of these chameleons everywhere. They're easy though. This is the home of a legendary dawn glider, which is a bit scary. They're unshelled reptiles and birds, I believe. You don't start off on good terms with unshelled reptiles. So you got to be careful with that. Our 10 penetration bow is really good against tortoises. So is a thermal grenade. Oh, we've got sleep grenades too. Look at that. Temporal fugue coming in there. That's going to be useful. High explosive grenades too. Oh, that's nice. So we can pull that out and he can just cycle through our grenades. And then you get the cooldown and he can come back, do the same thing. All right, nothing else up here. Heading down. Filled with turtles. See if our grenades can do anything interesting. At least keeps them off of us while we can shoot them. Boy, their armor is annoying, and it's just chewing through my electro bow too. The charge. We'll go with more health and healing rate. Seems good here. Knowing we might face dawn gliders. Yeah, this zone is just more of an annoyance than anything. All these turtles take forever to get through. Half the floor is cut off by that pit. See if I can get around it this way. Nope. Could go through the wall, of course. Eh. We're just going to move on. Some Forgotten Ruins. We have some Snapjaws here that don't seem to mind us. What is this? Okay. Oh, that was rather uneventful. Check our shops every time we make the rounds. See if there's anything good anywhere. This guy isn't particularly interesting, but sometimes he can have stuff like that. Engraved items. He's a good source of injectors. Um, Other low level gear sometimes if you need it. And then Archive, of course, in the same area, is a great place for your cybernetics if you're playing a regular cybernetics run, or for your tinkering schematics, which is what we're looking for now. So Nanon's nice. High explosive grenades Mark II is nice. Some people do like that symbiotic firefly as well if they need light and it gives you a bunch of insect rep. Insects can be really scary, so that is an option that you might want to consider. It's kind of more of a late game or late mid game item. Really considering this Nanon though. Chance to dismember on ranged weapons is how we would use it. See what we can get rid of here. Always have credit wedges, but they don't weigh anything, and you can carry them around with you for quite a long time. So they're worth hanging on to unless you need to use them. Better to use your bronze and copper first. So we pick that up. Might see if we can put it on something later on. The game plan basically is just whenever you see a nice mod or whatever, you pick it up. Save it for later if you know you're going to use it. So now we'll move on to the Rust Wells quests. And we're just looking for the rusted wire, or wire strands rather, sorry. And since we have wings, we're going to take the fast route, which is right down through the center. And just take a quick glance around, see if we can find any wire nearby. But if you stay out of the tunnels, mostly, then you won't get rusted, which is obviously a good thing. And if you can get to the bottom of each of these wells, and there are 3 of them, there's a guaranteed loot chest in the center, which often has some pretty good stuff. Neutral robot. So there's wire strand, 50 feet of it. Pretty good. Okay, so it's not, I guess it's not a guaranteed loot chest, but it is guaranteed something. And 50 feet of wire is good. It's what we're ultimately looking for. I think usually it's a chest, but I don't know what the probabilities are. So then if we turn on our wings, we can just fly right back up and out to the overworld map. So that's what we'll do. And we're lost. That's unfortunate. But still flying, and this area is pretty easy now. We're at level 13, so with wings and a force bracelet, there's not much to be worried about in the canyons that I can think of off the top of my head. Found our way back to that same rust well, so try again. Go to the next one. Make sure we're killing that kudzu if it's a risk to us, so it doesn't rust us. And there's some more wire. And quest is done. But while we're here, might as well go down here and get this loot. There's that chest, the golden loot chest. Painted sword. Some copper nuggets. So not fantastic, but once in a while you get something good there. Oftentimes it's weapons I've found, but I actually just looked it up and it's either a chance of a rare chest, which is that yellow one, or two 50-foot strands of wire, which is what we found in the first well. So even though we're done with the quest, we're going to drop down here into the third well and get that chest and just see if we can get anything good on this round. Spiked steel gauntlets aren't bad. Another painted weapon. And the shoes. All three of those are decent. I mean, this is worth some money. The shoes can be good. They increase movement speed. Probably won't wear them given the lack of armor. Yeah, that's an upgrade. 8 penetration from 7. There's the shoes we picked up. Plus 5 move speed. It's just a bit. It's not a ton. Elastic gloves give us 2 DV and agility. These give us more armor. The armor is much more useful than DV going forward, especially. And so we'll head back. I'll grab that. A little bit of jerky, why not? And we got inspired there. By chance, that's nice. Pick up this forgotten ruin on the way back to Joppa. Ooh, look at all these force fields. What's going on here? Just a unique feature, I guess. It's kind of cool. You don't see that very often. I don't know what the deal is, but there you go. All right, back to town. There's that quest. We get the recoil there, which is nice to have. Can pull us out of some sticky situations and just make travel faster. Our guy ignoring us until he finishes using that wire we just gave him. He wires up a bunch of his electronics in his shop there, and then he'll talk to you again. So we'll just head on our way. Pick up yet another ruin. This one's got a bunch of snap jaws in it. Getting a lot of attacks with swoop in here. Until we fall to the air and then take multiple hits from 3 enemies. That's not great. Got to be careful with that. 5% chance to fall prone each turn is risky. Got to position well, which I did not do there. Get my friend out there to launch some grenades at him for free damage. Why not? Head into Grit Gate. Immediately fall out of the sky and get shot by that slug snout. That's nice. Why is the way droid angry at me? Apparently, I forgot to pick up the thing that Argive gives you to make them neutral. Just wandering around lost here, flying around the Nepthali. Could be a little scary if we fell prone there, but with 7 AV, I guess we'd feel pretty safe taking on one or two or three even at a time. As long as they didn't have any of their unique robot gods or whatever they are. Planished godheads, I think they're called. Try a new recipe here, see what we get. Damage reflection. Sure. Can be useful in some areas of the game, but our build's really about keeping enemies at range rather than melee, so not particularly useful to us. Have to remember there's a bunch of leech bodies here in case we ever need said leech bodies. The cure for a number of diseases oftentimes involves eating leech corpses or some other kind of worm or whatever. And of course, when you need them, they're hard to find. So, marking areas like this or keeping note of them can be useful when you find them. Same with like electric snails. Sometimes you need to eat those. I don't remember what else is on that list, but with this build, we often don't get infected by things. Certainly, I haven't been infected in Golgotha for a long time, given the route we take and the fact that we have shielding and so on. We already have grenades. There's the Eigen pistol. Probably don't care about that. It's got a penetration of 11, I believe, which is only a 1 upgrade from the bow we have currently. And it's 2 worse than the handrail that we'd like to see. Oh, I do have the scrambler. Or did I just pick it up? I must have just picked it up. I have a lot of copper nuggets there. Every one of those is a pound apiece, so still better than weapons and things like that, weapons and armor. So you always prioritize getting rid of gear before copper and bronze and so on. That's well worth repairing for a couple drams profit. Have a look at these. Freeze grenade, nice pickup. Electromagnetic shielding. That's worth selling anyway. All right, what's next? Go ahead and eat something. And we'll go try Grit Gate again now that we've got the Droid Scrambler. You could always do it without the Droid Scrambler and get the extra XP from killing the robots. That's absolutely a viable option. And we have the damage and defenses to do it, of course. But it's also just not necessary. And we're about to hit level 14. I don't like to push further than really like 15 or 16 before I do Golgotha, just because of the quest requirement to do it before 18. So oftentimes you get a level down there. You don't want to mistakenly go over 18. So you can always come back and clear those robots up. They're worth, what would they be worth? Like 300 XP right now, probably 350 even is pretty good XP. So if you want it, you can come back and get it. There we hit 14. Get inspired to cook another meal. So we'll do that soon-ish. Still don't have our pistol skills online. Not that we have a pistol, but never a bad idea to start working on them early. Because it takes a few hundred points to get to both akimbo and disarming shot, and we like weak spotter and sling and run as well, so that's always an option to start working on that. Spry is quite good, though we have negative DV right now. So I guess we'll just save it up. It's not like we're going to use either of those things immediately. I guess we do have positive 2 DV now. Spry could be useful. I don't know. 4 DV versus 2 DV, I think probably isn't that big of a change. I know DV is really good when you get on the high end of things, like when you start pushing it up towards 20, 15, 20, it starts really doing something. But at these low levels, it just kind of doesn't matter. Compared to AV, certainly. You'd rather have the AV. Blaze injector, weird artifact. Combat shotgun, okay. That has 4 bits in it, so those are useful. Carbide plate armor. It's kind of cool. Go ahead and throw that on. Nice little boost. 2 more AV, up to 10. 10 is huge at this part of the game. There's steel plate armor in case I didn't find the carbide armor. Stumble over my words there. Some good money and all that stuff, though. The steel armor is really heavy, though. Down to floor 2. Ooh, look at all those bits. Thank you. I'll take those. Slumberling. Hostile and tough. I popped Temporal Fugue and he lit himself on fire on the first turn. Great job, buddy. Very effective. Send him down to engage the Slumberling. Freeze grenade. He froze himself too. Wow, this guy is not great. Sometimes he's good, I promise. I say without any evidence. All these little worms, more of an annoyance than anything. They can't do much to us with this much armor. There's a Templar dude. Nice. Historic site. Go ahead and mark that in my journal so I can see it on the map. Oh, that's an awkward location for it. Won't be going for that for a little while, if at all. Long sword's worth some money there. Steel shield is an upgrade if we want to use it. At some point, we probably go no melee and just hold shields, or a shield and our historic item. Since most of our damage is going to be ranged anyway. Just deciding if that's worth doing right now. I decide against for the time being. I am meleeing some. I don't know. Could go either way on that. We do have a really nice sword, though, to be fair. And it saves you some ammo, some charge on your battery, whatever you've got, especially when you're underground. We do have solar cells, which help keep our bow charged up, but not when you're underground. Probably should have cooked up a new recipe since we're inspired there, but I didn't. Like I said before, it's always good to use that inspired as soon as you get it, I think, and just start collecting recipes. All right, let's see what we get. Open the door, and my mind starts getting burrowed through by a Seeker of the Sightless Way, so we'll go ahead and go up and break that before he pops our head open. Where'd he go? Is he dead? Must have been killed by something down here. Nope, there he is again. Great. And we're running away before he does the same. Could be cooking that recipe that gives us 2 MA, if nothing else. That would help with this attack. But we get him in melee range and then one-shot him, so that works too. Bunch of chests over there, and a couple here too. Backpack, freeze grenade, nice. More freeze grenades, very good, love to see it. Some of the best grenades, lots of usefulness on those, just to pin people down, freeze them in place. As a matter of fact, here's a little shout out to one of the viewers in the last video talking about freezing grenades and how they can be useful for twinning lampreys. Sometimes better than normality gas grenades, he says, because it will hold them in place and you can kill them both at the same time, whereas they can more easily escape from normality grenades. So that's some great tips there. Thanks for that. I might also add that you can pair your freezing grenade with a normality gas grenade on the twinning lampreys. Really seal the deal. But yeah, my thinking on that comment is, maybe I should do a grenades only run challenge at some point. That would be fun. I feel like I don't use grenades enough. Like I use them here and there, and they're fun, they're good, they're dangerous. But maybe grenades only would be a fun thing to do. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Come up with a good challenge for that. So anyway, on Strata 3 here, if you go one tile north, you'll find this entrance to Grit Gate. Somebody was asking me how you find that the other day. Just demonstrated that there. And you can't get in quite yet, but we can come over here and talk to Mafio, who holds a ton of lead slugs in case you need them for your guns at this point. Most builds are probably running guns at this point in the game rather than lasers of any kind. So those bullets are going to be super useful. He also sells a recoiler to Grit Gate if you need that. So I actually have this shawl here that turns me into a little robot guy who has a bunch of rep with the bears. And so we can get better prices, which is why I swapped into that. Get better trade prices here. So that odd trinket is the recoiler in question. We're going to pick that up so we can get right back here. The idea being that when we go down into Golgotha, we just hit that, come straight back with the robot, and we're done with that quest. Makes it super quick. Mostly selling weapons here to him. I debate saving that shotgun. Yeah, we're going to keep it for the 4-bit. It's really not worth that much money, like 30, 49, I guess. Look at all those copper nuggets. Need to get rid of some of those. Cool. Love injector could be useful at some point. Usually use 1 or 2 of those a game, probably. Put our wings back on. That optional bear rep there is pretty nice, actually. That'll save us a bunch of money throughout the game if we end up using it. Steel buckler is a nice straight upgrade. We've got no 4-bits. So that's well worth disassembling, I'd say. Electro bow is worth 4-bits as well, notably. So if we ever need it, we got that. So we're level 14, almost level 15. Just going to fly. Head back over here to the 6-day stilt. Catch a ruin on the way. Chrome revolver for some 2-bits. That's nice. Bunch of junk otherwise. Painted armor. Do we get lucky? We do. Nice. So now we get some XP from that secret. And we've got a bunch of books to turn into. More ruins. Getting quite a few hits on that. Just on our way back up here. Mimic. I don't know if I've ever figured out what a mimic, if a mimic's supposed to be scary. Like, he can turn into us, okay, great. But they're worth a ton of XP, and they just never seem particularly dangerous. So, yeah, I love finding them. They're easy to kill. Easier if you kill them before they turn into you or something else, but whatever it takes. What was that, like 800 XP, I think? Legendary salamander layer. Only worth 75 XP to find this place. And we've got freeze frogs. That's a little scary. Freeze frogs and salt hoppers. Look at that. Our 2 ruins are side by side. Or rather, the layer and the ruin are side by side. There's level 15. That's where we want to be. I've taken note from the previous videos and the comments that I've received there that those crocs, those low-level crocs, do not in fact dismember you. So I had been saying that I thought they did, and I'd been playing safe as if they did for quite a while. And I guess I didn't need to. So the Sultan Crocs in the late game do dismember you, but these early game ones do not. So good to know. I mean, it's never wrong to play safer than you need to, I guess, but got all our stats up to 23 now, looking really good. We're going to keep going up on int to get more skill points and probably head maybe towards Tinker 3. Get meditate online and fasting way to make our food better, our healing faster. Get the first pistol skill online. Planning to start using the chain pistol soon after this Golgotha quest. So that's what we're getting ready for now, is just doing the last few things before Golgotha. What do we have here? Loved by unshelled reptiles, hated by crabs. Well, unshelled reptiles already hate us. Oh man, cracked my gloves? Buddy. Summon my friend, immediately get lit on fire. Temporal fugue, still being awesome. Thanks. Great. All right, get him killed. Still waiting for this historic weapon with temporal fugue to actually pay off for me. Did I get him? Yep, cool. So I don't know. I could have alternatively used the love injector on that salamander and then did the water ritual to get more rep with unshelled reptiles. That can be worth doing, especially for the Bethesda Souza quest, because sometimes you can get rhyme walks spawning in Bethesda Souza, and they're unshelled reptiles, and they're very dangerous. They can freeze you and do a bunch of melee damage. So it can be worth getting good with them. But the truth is that since 1.0, I haven't found many spawns of them. I often go full games without ever seeing any. So I don't know if they turned down the spawn rate or what the deal is. Definitely going to take that 6-bit for whatever it costs, because 6-bits are useful for at least handrails, but they're also useful for a number of other things, like any tinkering you do on handrails, any tinkering you do on higher level armors. So go ahead and pick that up. That's well worth it. Really, I guess if you see 6, 7, or 8 bits, at this point, we're taking them. All right, back to 6 Day Still. Go turn in the secret we picked up. That's worth 1,000 XP. Nice find. Quickly check the chef one more time. Yeah, bananas. We can learn all of our grenade recipes, all our injector recipes. Could be useful. Just keeping one of each of those grenades, with the idea being that we're going to learn the recipes, and most of the time it's our temporal fugue friend who's going to be using those grenades. So they're infinite effectively. Check Acre Merchant. There's a painted glass bottle. Okay, not particularly useful. That's okay. Just checking this to see if we have anything really easy to throw in for reputation. Get the extra 25 from having learned the tactful skill. So we only need 24 more rep. 25 more rep for the mechamists to be able to be allowed into their holy sites, which the bottom of Bethesda Souza is one of those. So we'll get that later. Gauntlets could be good. Very expensive, weird artifact. A couple of injectors here. Let's see, we'll use our inspired buff on the bananas so that we can get psychometry. Oh, yes. Drink fresh water. There's a chance to identify all artifacts on the map. There we go. Now we'll just chug some water and identify what's in that vendor. It was a hyper tractor. Okay, not something we want. Good to know, though. We'll have to get more bananas now to learn the grenade recipes. That's all right. That's a good recipe, though, that we just picked up. Highly recommend getting that if you don't start with the optical techno scanner. Basically, you would always want this. And you can just chug water until you get the trigger and identify everything in the vendor's inventory and your own on the map. Really handy. And then you can just go pick bananas around Ezra to have that whenever you want. Very useful. I always like to pick up these Sphinx Salt injectors whenever I see them. They're relatively rare and they're very useful for resetting bad engages and things like that. If you were to accidentally die, it just resets you. And then any rough gemstones that you see are worth picking up as well, because when you get to the Yurd Freehold, you can put them in the tumbler and it will change them from rough gemstones to smooth ones, and you make a little bit of money there. Somewhere between 50 and 100 drams, I think, to do that, and it's free and basically instant. So easy free money. It's a small amount, but it adds up. Go ahead and try to trigger that again. Turn in our books. As you can see, the books are much less useful for XP at this point. I mean, they still move the needle, of course, but it's not like one turn in gets us a full level anymore. Where'd our guy go? Oh, there he is. Hey, come back here. Let's see. Visored is kind of good. All those weird artifacts are. Oh, nice historic site. The weird artifacts are cybernetics, so we don't care about that. I was trying to get that trigger again, but I've drank too much water. Yep, okay, we triggered it. You can just keep drinking, and the worst thing that happens is you throw up, so it's not a big deal. Go check what this guy had. Stun grass grenade, which we already have. More electro bows. They just really wanted me to have an electro bow this game. Could have had 4 of them at least, I think. Crazy. Go check out these sites real quick. This one's risky. We got to keep our eyes open. Any of these river map tiles can be very dangerous, as I said earlier. So you just got to watch out for mad pulls mostly. But these slimes are kind of annoying too. They engulf you and do damage. And if you don't have a way out, they can be quite risky. So we'll just bail on that and come back later. Now just debating if I go for Golgotha right now or what. We do have jungles wayfaring, so we're good there. Let's dive in and go for it. We're in a fine place to be. Level 15, we've got all the gear we need. We'll have to do it with our electro bow, which is just fine. I've said before that anything with a penetration value of 8 or 9 is sufficient for this quest easily. So that's Ishkar rifles, chain pistols, carbines, all that kind of stuff. Most of your guns. The laser pistol, which is guaranteed from the asphalt mines, if you wanted to go there and pick that up. So if you have lots of options here if you don't already have a weapon going into it. And then the trick is, as I've shown in a previous video, you just use your mining pick to get in through the wall. And then you go down that hole to get to the bottom floor. So we'll go ahead and cook with the sliced bop cheek to reduce fall damage, hopefully, and the congealed rubber gum as well should help. Realizing that I'm actually sated, so we can't eat right now. Could do that if you wanted to. Could just wait until I'm hungry, but could also just use wings and fly down the hole. Could also use a Sphinx salt injector before going down the hole. So once again, spawning my temporal fugue friend, and he lights me on fire every freaking time. There's a slumberling. Okay, back to Golgotha. Oh, we didn't get it. We got the jump trigger effect. We do have another sliced bop cheek. Wow, twice. Okay, we're just going to go for it. Make sure our battery is ready to go. The wings are on. Fly. Head down. Get inspired again. Nice. Good trigger. And we're to the bottom. Bad entryway here, covered with black sludge. It's kind of annoying. We'll have to pick our way through a wall, probably. I don't even like to walk in this stuff. As long as you don't swim in it, you won't get sick. But if it's deep and you have to swim, it can get in your mouth and cause glot rot. Yeah, so there's Slog coming around the corner. Hello. I'm over here trying to pick through this wall. Pop our shield up and start shooting. It's randomly fighting eels, I guess. That's kind of neat. But it can't do anything as long as we have our shield up. If we don't have our shield up, it starts spitting liquids at us. Whatever's on the ground, it will spit. So that's brown sludge right now. If it was a couple tiles back, it would be black sludge. Got to be careful of that. Make sure this stays charged. And just whittle it down. There we go. Favored by winged mammals. That's really lucky. That means the saps, the saps, that's a tricky one to say. Later in the game, they won't affect us. That's good. We could butcher that and get Slog's Inoculus to prevent poison damage if we needed it. I don't often find poison damage is an issue, generally speaking, but we'll go ahead and pick it up anyway, I think. Just being careful that something doesn't pop around the corner here while I'm working on this. Oh, I never picked it up. Okay, whoops, got it now. Back to work, back to the mines. Just looking for that Inoculus. There it is. He had black ooze on it. I don't even like carrying that stuff around with me. I'm probably being more safe than I need to be there, but oh, great. Just wonderful. Well, at least we have an eye on a way out now. So we'll pop through this wall over here. Find a way droid immediately. Nice luck there. Optimally, I'd like to find the chest down here that has the guaranteed credit wedges in it. So we'll have a quick poke around, see what we can find. Always a lot of rubbish down here, so that's great for your trash divining, great for scavenger. All the stuff we like to do. This is a great place for it. Look at all that trash. Goat folk villages, if you like to do those, are pretty common. I skip them usually, but there's a bunch of loot there. There's a ruin. You're going to have more ruins than you know what to do with trash divining. Another village. More ruins. So obviously this trash divining pairs really well with our wayfaring game plan because you've got all these marked places on the map now and you can travel around to them without getting lost and while finding ruins and such on your way. So it just pairs really nicely. No chests so far. Break through this wall, see if we can find it. Oh, we're walking around in ooze, black ooze. So you can always just go down and clean all your items with water. Might have to do it a couple of times until the black ooze effect in the bottom left-hand corner goes away. There's the hole that goes down to the one of the end game bosses, we'll just say. One of the Gersh. In case you're looking for them, that's a guaranteed one. Freaking phase spider down here. You don't usually see that. Kind of weird. Come on, chest, where you at? There it is. Go ahead and grab this trash real quick. Ooh, and another chest too. Oh, that's the chest we want actually. The gold chest is just a rare chest, but 2-cent credit wedges, worth some money. Slog's Inoculus, half damage from poison if we want it in the future. It's worth some money too. Like I said, I'll probably just sell it. I don't find it all that useful. So repair the droid and trigger the Great Gate recoiler. Turn that in. Now I've said it before, check your status effects down in the bottom left at this point when that quest is over. If you are, if you have itchy skin, if you have any other status effect that has to do with being infected, for example, go over to the cooking area in the kitchen in this zone, and you can eat the porridge, which will help prevent illness from developing. So, luckily, we didn't get sick down there. Don't got to worry about it. We picked up the carbine this time. Usually, I pick up the chain pistol. I think I actually misclicked, to be perfectly honest. But given that we have the electro bow, I don't really think it matters. We're going to be using electro bow until we find something better, which we're hoping, fingers crossed, is a flamethrower or handrails or rail guns, that kind of stuff. It's really what we're always going for on this build, in my opinion. Have a look and see what that is, maybe. Just a gyre iron. Useless. See what she can teach us with rep. The scaled mod for unshelled reptiles. We'll go ahead and learn that. Get a secret in case they can sometimes tell you where stop salvin is, which is a really nice shield. But she just wants to give me ruin secrets, so we'll take them. Put on our shawl to get some extra rep here and get better vendor prices. EMP grenade, nice. So you want to check out Mafio, Jacobo, and Spartificule, I think his name is. There's high energy thermocast. Those are the three bears that have items that you may be interested in. If you are getting cybernetics, Shem 1 will sell you cybernetics as well. Ooh, Visage. Eater's Nectar Injector, both are good. Visage is Tinker 2, and that will help us identify items from here on out. There's a 4-bit, we'll pick that up. Yeah, absolutely. Good deal. These floating glow spheres are always worth some money. Motorized treads, they're super heavy. Want to get rid of those. Yep, that should about do it. Good deal. So that solves our inability to identify stuff problem. Go ahead and learn that. It takes a 6-bit and a 4-bit, which we just recently picked up, one of each of those. And are we missing a 2-bit? Let's see. Grab an extra 4-bit there. This has a 2-bit in it. So go ahead and get rid of that, and we'll just use the carbine. That's totally fine. Totally worth getting a Visage online. It does get rid of one of our arm slots. So this is also a good time to switch out the sword, put on the steel shield, put in our offhand, and we'll keep our temporal fugue dagger online, even though it's proven pretty much useless or worse than useless so far. But yeah, I'm super happy with that pickup. So yeah, I think we're going to pretty much end it there for video number 2. In video 3, we're going to start moving towards the middle of the map and head to the next couple of villages. Keep searching for vendors for better tinkering recipes and better ranged weapons. And then basically just getting ready to get into Bethesda Susa in the near term. And of course, we're going to keep up our wayfaring and keep up our reputation game and so on and so forth. So I'll talk more about that in the next video. I hope you'll join me and keep watching along with our Human Scavenger Challenge. Good luck!